How did you get your start?
I worked in, I graduated college and I thought I wanted to be a writer and I was going to work in theater. But I happened at the time, I was in the Air Force for 6 months in reserves, and which people did in those days. And I had a photography course and there was some film in it. I also was very interested in film. There was very, very interesting film in the late 60s, especially coming from Europe. And so I was interested in film, but I didn't know how to, I was from the East Coast. I didn't know, I was the only person I knew. People watching this, probably every person they know wants to be in film or work in film, or if not in media of some kind. In those days, I was the only one I knew. I knew one other guy who used to date my sister, who was a little older than me. He helped me get a job, and I worked as a driver. And I was, you know, I thought I was some hotshot college guy, and I was driving the truck and picking up props to be photographed, to be filmed for a commercial. And I worked my way then, and I became an editor and at a very young age, and in the same place. And if you're from New York, it was funny because I was living in Manhattan and commuting up to the Bronx where this studio happened to be. That was like reverse commuting and making very little money, but I didn't care. Then I just was able to be at the right place, which happens sometimes, and I got a feature to edit. And then I was back doing whatever I was doing at this place in the Bronx, doing commercials, and I had to leave. And that was like, again, as I'm talking about, you make these decisions on your career. I had two choices. I could have gone into commercials and direct commercials and made very good money, or go to work for a little place that was making behind-the-scenes films and trailers as an editor. So to me, the choice was, do I want to be an editor, you know, a creative editor, or do I want to be a production person in this commercial house? Well, I took the creative editor job. Then I would leave that, and I would say, okay, I'm going to leave now. I'm going to start my own business, or I'm going to leave now. I'm going to try and make a feature. And you just have to make those choices constantly, and that's what I had to do. And then when I was 40 or so, I thought, oh, I didn't like being, I was doing very well, but I didn't want to do Hollywood movies, and I was up to direct a lot of them. I directed one little feature, and I hadn't done too many documentaries at the time. And the ones that I was connecting with, that people were interested in talking to me about, were these kind of silly things. I mean, they were like sequels of sequels, and so many great directors have started that way, you know, doing some horror film or doing something like that. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do my own kind of thing. And and I might have messed them up. I might have not done well with those films, for all I know. So I just said, forget it. And I had a good year one year, and I made some money, and I stopped. And I said, okay, the film business isn't for me. This was over 20 years ago. And I'll write, and I'll write plays. And that's what I did for 2 or 3 years. Then I ran out of money. I had to go back into the film, and then I won an Oscar. And when you win an Oscar, it's like you're suddenly Sir Chuck Workman, and jobs come much easier. And then I was able to not only get the work, but I was able to make the work my way. And I found that that was the best thing for me, that my way, in my particular tiny world of what I do, is the best way. And so suddenly I had the prestige or whatever one needed to say, no, let's not do it that way. Let's not do it your way. Let's do it my way. And that is what you're trying to do. Now, your way may be bad or good, but it's your way, you know. And you grow from that, and I've grown from that. Started making documentaries, and they were interesting, and did more and more films that are more montage-oriented, and I sort of got a reputation for that. And I've made a couple small features also that I'm very happy with, dramatic features. So I'm very happy with my career, although nervous about it always, you know.